Hi guys, Hugh Bennett, a former advisor to Prime Minister Liz Truss, appeared on Newsnight where he was challenged by quality journalist Victoria Derbyshire. Now, he was trying to sell the idea that people should forget about the disaster Truss inflicted upon the UK economy with her Chancellor and the mini-budget, and instead listen to what the failed Prime Minister has to say today. The guy is clearly out of his depth and shows that Truss, as Prime Minister like Truss today, is surrounding herself with idiots who haven't a clue of what it takes to run a country. Oh, and no amount of hand gestures is going to save you from this car crash of an interview, mate.
Why should any voter listen to Liz Truss when she frightened the markets to such an extent that the pound fell against the dollar, sent mortgage rates soaring and forced the Bank of England to intervene to save our pensions?
Yeah, well, look, I think when you look at what was said today, when you look at what the focus was of the event today, it was much less about, what are the short-term policies that we need to do now before the election. It was
it's actually about whether people would listen to Liz Truss because of the disastrous 49-day premiership.
Yeah, I think the thing with judging what Liz was saying is I think people should be judging her on what she said today.
Not on her actual record in office.
Look, she can...
I thought you wanted to bring the link back between accountability and democracy.
Yeah, and I'm sure she'd be the first to admit that her term in office didn't go the way that she intended. But I think that's not to say that the ideas that are being discussed today...
I'm sorry to come back to a point I made previously, but it seems to link with what you've just said. Liz Truss, as Prime Minister, announced billions of pounds of tax cuts, and look where that left everybody.
Yeah, no, and I think... When you change leaders so quickly in a party, I think you are going to get a lot of people coming in, enacting policies that maybe they haven't had time to prepare for long enough. I think that's
she
why
went through the whole leadership contest saying she was going to cut taxes.
I know, but
she did, and look what happened.
Of course, but when you're in the middle of a leadership contest, you are busy with all sorts of media engagements, you're doing all sorts of political engagements.
So she's not able to multitask. She's not able to say, okay, I'm going to focus on policy and not on... It demonstrates that even as a candidate, she's incompetent. Not just as a Prime Minister. Now, this is a terrible defence. You just ignore what Liz Truss did in office and focus on what she's saying today. Now, you can't ignore, and the public will not ignore, and the public should not ignore what happened when she was Prime Minister. Because they're suffering the consequences of it now. Now, I don't know what this popcorn is trying to achieve. I don't know if they're trying to brute force Liz Truss back into number 10 to replace Rishi Sunak, or it's an attempt to manipulate the public using somebody who's like a weather vane, who will do as they're told, a puppet, in the sense that Liz Truss has no principles. I've explained that before. She used to be a Liberal Democrat, she was a Remainer, then she became a Brexiteer, and then now she's a hard right Tory. Obviously, she has no principles. And when it came to Brexit, she was even challenged on, well, you changed your mind. And she said, well, people shouldn't be allowed to change their mind. What is the goal of this? Not so much the group of politicians, but the people backing them. Where is the money going? What do the people who are backing this want to achieve? And I think with Liz Truss, it's somebody who they can rely on to be incompetent, or not even incompetent, to do as she's told. She's not going to push back. She has no principles. She'll say, well, I'm getting paid to say X, I'll say X. I don't care what the consequences of saying X are. And as I have no principles, I'm not going to resist that. So I think that is part of it. But the end goal, I think, perhaps is to push society further to the right, to push these ideas of lower taxes and lower regulations, cuts to public services, small government. I think it's a bit like a sort of IEA on steroids. And unfortunately, it may succeed in some ways, but people need to push back. We have to push back, because what a society should be is there. A government should be there to help the people. It should be there to protect citizens, protect public services like the NHS, which no doubt Popcorn would like to see destroyed. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.